It's 2026, and AI tools, they're absolutely everywhere. But here's the thing. Just having access to them hasn't really translated into transformation for most companies. The real challenge isn't building some cool one-off pilot project. It's actually scaling that AI across the entire enterprise. So let's dive into why that gap exists, and more importantly, how you can actually cross it. So let's start with a reality check. While a good chunk of companies, about 66%, say they're getting some gains from AI, the research shows a different story. Only 34% are truly reimagining their business at scale. Think about that. That means 2 out of every 3 companies are basically stuck. They can't get across that chasm from small experiments to making a real transformative impact. So, what's the deal here? Why are so many organizations trapped in this, pilot to production gap? Well, let me be super clear. The bottleneck isn't the technology itself. It's a lack of organizational readiness. And that right there is the central problem we're going to unpack in this explainer. Okay, the very first step to solving this whole thing is a radical shift in your mindset. Scaling AI is not just doing more pilots. It's a completely different sport. It demands new skills, new rules, and a whole new way of thinking about how you operate. Now, let's really break down what that mindset shift looks like, because it's huge. A pilot is all about asking one simple question. Can it work? And you're doing it in a nice, clean lab with perfect data. Success is just proving it's technically possible. Production, on the other hand, has to answer a much, much harder question. Will it keep working safely, out in the real world with all its messy data? And success isn't a cool demo. It's about delivering sustained business value, day in and day out. The teams are different, the goals are different, the entire game is different. And look, this isn't just theory. This Deloitte research from 2026 really hits the nail on the head. Even with the number of AI projects in production set to double, it doesn't automatically mean transformation is happening. Most companies are just using AI to chase these small, incremental efficiency gains, not to fundamentally change how their business operates. So, how do you actually cross that gap? Well, the solution lies in building readiness across 5 absolutely critical dimensions. You can think of these as the non-negotiable pillars that separate the true AI leaders from everyone else. So let's break them down one by one. First up, operational discipline. This is all about getting away from those one-off heroic efforts where a small team works crazy hours to get something live. Scaling means you have to make your AI deployment process repeatable, reliable, and totally standardized. Way more like a factory assembly line than some bespoke, handcrafted art project. So what does that assembly line actually look like in practice? Well, it means having things like standardized deployment pipelines so everyone does it the same way. It means continuous, real-time monitoring to catch problems before they blow up. It means a formal plan for when things inevitably go wrong. And, oh man, this is critical, automated rollback procedures. Because a bad model can cause real-time damage, you need a big red button to pull it back instantly. These aren't just nice-to-haves, they're the safety net that makes scaling even possible. And the payoff for this discipline is huge. I mean, just look at this example. A financial services firm went from a 6-week deployment cycle all the way down to just 3 days. They didn't cut corners on security, they just automated and standardized the process. That is the power of operational discipline right there. Our second pillar is governance at scale. Look, a monthly committee meeting might work for reviewing one pilot, but it becomes a massive bottleneck when you're trying to deploy dozens of models. To move at the speed business demands, you have to stop relying on slow, manual reviews and start embedding fast, automated controls directly into your technology. And this slide really shows the stark difference. It's a total night and day situation. Pilot governance is slow, it's manual, it's based on meetings. Production governance is fast because it's automated. The policies are just baked right into the deployment pipeline. The whole focus shifts from getting manual approvals to just making sure everything is auditable and traceable. You're building safety into the system itself. Pillar number 3 is a crucial one, architectural maturity. The amateur approach is to build a brand new, totally custom solution for every single AI project. But the pros? They build a single, reusable platform with common components that can power dozens of different use cases. It's like building a highway instead of building a new car for every single trip. The economic case for doing this is it's undeniable. As this chart shows, if you build that reusable platform, your second AI project should cost about half as much as the first. By the time you get to your 10th one, the cost can plummet to just 20% of the original. You're not reinventing the wheel every single time. You're just adding a new car to the highway you've already built. Okay, next, let's talk about people. This is our fourth dimension, organizational capacity. A pilot team is often this temporary task force that gets assembled and then just disbands after launch. That model completely breaks at scale. If you want to treat AI like a core business capability, you have to invest in permanent, dedicated platform teams who own the system for the long haul. So, what does a real platform team look like? Well, notice the composition here. A huge chunk of it, 40%, is data engineers. The critical point to understand is that for every one data scientist you have inventing a cool model, you need 3 to 4 engineers to actually build the data pipelines, deploy the systems, and keep them running. That ratio is a massive indicator of how serious a company is about scaling. And that brings us to our fifth and final pillar, workflow integration. Honestly, this might be the most important one. A great AI model that people just ignore is nothing more than an expensive suggestion box. Real value only gets unlocked when that intelligence is embedded directly into your core business processes, automating steps and making the entire workflow smarter from the inside out. This insurance claims example makes it perfectly clear. In the pilot, the AI is just an advisor. It gives a score, but the human still does all the work. In production, the AI is an active participant in an automated workflow. It actually auto-approves the simple claims and intelligently routes the tricky ones. That's the difference between a helpful hint and a completely transformed process. So, we've covered the 5 pillars of readiness, but it's just as important to know what not to do. Let's take a quick look at the common mistakes that keep organizations stuck in that pilot phase forever. Here are 2 of the absolute biggest traps. First, thinking that scaling just means launching more and more pilots. The fix? You have to pause the new experiments and invest in that reusable platform we talked about. Second, measuring activity, like how many models you've deployed, instead of actual business outcomes. The fix is simple. If an AI system doesn't have a clear business KPI attached to it, it shouldn't be in production, period. So when you put all of this together, a very, very clear picture emerges. The difference between the AI leaders and the laggards, it really isn't about the technology. It's about philosophy. And this is the bottom line. The companies that are absolutely dominating their industries in 2026 aren't the ones putting on a show with endless, flashy pilots. They're the ones that quietly and systematically did the hard work of building the operational discipline needed to scale AI as a core part of their business. It's all about substance over style. Which leaves us with a final question for you to really think about. Look at your own organization's AI efforts through the lens of these 5 dimensions. Are you genuinely building a durable core capability that's designed to scale, or are you just performing innovation theater? The answer to that question will likely determine your success.